Hi everyone. Before I jump into my video, I just wanted to say that one of my subscribers left a comment asking for me to do a length check. Well, I'm not going to make a whole video about showing all the sections of my hair, how long it is in every section. Just know that my hair is in layers. But right now I have my hair pulled back into a ponytail. And as you can see, it falls where it falls. Okay, I hope that was sufficient. Now, I took notes. And the reason why I decided to make this video today is because I will be dyeing my hair tonight. Which is a bad habit of mine, by the way. Washing hair in the nighttime is not the best idea because it kind of means that you have to use heat to blow dry it, because when you go to sleep with wet hair, you may wake up with mildew in your hair. So that's why it's usually best to wash your hair in the morning so that maybe like throughout the day it dries, so you don't have to use so much artificial heat, you know. Anyway, so sorry, but yeah, I'm going against what I'm saying right now, and I'm going to dye my hair tonight because I can't wait. So I have a few tips on what you should do when you're dyeing your hair. Put my hair down. Just because. Okay. Now the first tip is about preparation. Now you want to make sure you don't scratch your hair or scratch your scalp before you dye your hair, because remember, dye is a chemical, and when you scratch your hair, you're cutting your scalp a little bit, depending on what you use to scratch it. Your nails, if your nails are sharp like mine, then you're probably really hurting your scalp when you scratch it. So that chemical, and then getting inside of your wound, pain. It's just like when you perm your hair, if you use permit, you know what I'm talking about. Your mother used to tell you don't scratch your head before the perm, because then it's going to burn too much and you're not going to let the perm get in there and really straighten it out. So it's very similar. Like, you're going to want to wash your hair before the dye really sets in if you have a damaged scalp. So don't scratch your head. Also, you want to protect the area, including your clothes and like your skin. So a lot of people use to protect their skin is like Vaseline, petroleum. When I dye my hair tonight, I'm going to use coconut oil because I don't have any petroleum. So I'm sure that'll work just as good. And I'll be wearing a tank top, an old tank top that I don't mind getting dirty. Now, if you're going to dye your hair red, black, brown, then you want to get like a black t-shirt. But me, I'm going to be lightening my hair again. So black would not be the best idea, because black, the lightening dye getting on black shirt, you'll see bleach spots. So I'll be wearing a light colored t-shirt. Also, gloves. A lot of these things kind of sound like duh, but not to everybody. But gloves, that's a good idea, so you don't sting your fingers. Okay, sectioning your hair is pretty important when it comes to factoring how much dye you have and how much hair you have. You can buy multiple boxes of dye so you don't have this issue, but sometimes you may only have access to 1 or 2 boxes. Depending on your length, it might not be enough, so you have to really work it out, make sure that you have enough dye to go all over. So sectioning your hair helps with that. Also, sections are beneficial because you may know that when you dye your hair, wherever you put the dye on first, that part of your hair tends to come out the boldest and the brightest. For example, me, I usually dye my hair from the front to back, so that's why the front of my hair always comes out lighter than or brighter than the back. And I never did that on purpose, but that's just something I learned with experience and research. Eventually I researched it. It makes sense, right? But also, you may notice when you dye your hair, your roots may tend to come out brighter than the rest of it. Like, let me get in really close. You can see how my roots, well, not my roots now because I have new growth, but my old roots are pretty bright compared to the length of the lock, and that's because virgin hair tends to dye quicker, so it lightens faster than the rest of my hair when I put that color in there. So here's a tip: if you don't want really bright roots, then I suggest that you apply the dye from the ends going up, and then go after you finish applying the dye all over your hair, then go back and get to the roots. That's a tip. I know it's a hassle that way, but that's if you're really particular with the color gradient in your hair being a certain kind of way. Plus, like, an ombre look is kind of in right now, so like brighter ends and darker roots tends to look better, so don't dye your roots first. Now, this is very important, and this is something that I learned the hard way. When I was dyeing my locks in the beginning, I would squeeze the dye in there. I would squeeze it. Now, this can be more of a problem for some people more than others because of how compact. Sorry, my battery cut out, and this was weeks ago. I just remembered that I have to finish recording this video. So, I left off referring to the sponginess of our hair that comes into play when dyeing your hair, because sometimes we tend to squeeze the dye in there when we apply it, which can be really bad if you have hair like mine. My locks are pretty squeezy, squishy, spongy, whatever, you know what I mean, I hope. So if you have a really spongy hair, then it's going to be kind of hard when it comes to washing it out because the dye really gets in there. You're going to notice that you're going to rinse it several times, and you might see the color running out in the water. So try to coat the hair with the dye rather than squeeze it in there, you know. But if your hair isn't as spongy, if your hair is more, I don't want to say hard, but if it doesn't hold as much like water when it gets wet, then you may have better luck with squeezing it in. But I feel like just play it safe to make sure that you wash it out all the way. Try not to squeeze the dye in there. And I believe that's my final tip. I lost my notes about it, but if I do have any more tips when it comes to dyeing your hair, I will make another video. Oh, here's a bonus tip. After you dye your hair, oftentimes the box comes with a conditioner. Use it. Use all of it. Also, don't forget your own conditioners, hot oil treatments. You want to make sure that you really moisturize your hair after that kind of process of dyeing. That's still chemicals. You're still stripping your hair when you dye it. So make sure that you feed your hair back with those oils and the conditioners, the proteins in the conditioner and all that. That's it. Stay tuned.